name is Allie, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the maker behind Crochet in the Mud, where I do both crochet plushies as well as pottery. And today is April 1st, so that means the start of a new yarn use challenge. If you haven't already, I did this challenge in February and ended up using 6,660 grams of yarn, so quite a bit, and I was struggling in February just with like some burnout, so hopefully we can use a lot more this month. But we are also starting markets this month, so I have one upcoming on the 5th and on the 13th, and then I have a couple in May. So we're really starting to finally hit that grind of getting our yarn done. So I'm not on a yarn ban, but I am trying not to buy yarn, in the sense of if I need a color I can buy it, but I'm trying not to go all out. Also, depending on where Joann goes with their yarn sale, I might be hitting them all up. I'm hoping they'll like up the percentage and then I can go drive around the metro area, so that is an exception if that does happen this month. I know they are supposed to be closing in May, so I expect it to happen probably mid to late April. They should hopefully raise the yarn discount. So I will show you what my yarn looks like as of now, and then hopefully we can start to dwindle it down. I am slightly overflowing off of my shelves, so the goal is to at least hopefully write it in and get it on the shelves, unless of course we do a Joann trip. This is how the main shelves are starting. So they are sorted by color, and then there is some overflow. So we have 2 skeins up top here, and then I do have an overflow Bernay that did not fit. But this top shelf over here, we have the Michaels brands over here, so the Sweet Snuggles Light and the Chenille Home Slim, and then Bernay Velvet over here. The rest of it is going to be Bernay Blanket until you get to the bottom. That is all Big Twist Posh, and I do have some overflow. The reason I have this overflow is because in this bucket here is my temperature snake, and I just went through and did all the March ones yesterday, so that hopefully we won't have to touch this and try to worry about figuring out the grams for April. So these colors are no longer in use, so we definitely need to make room for the Big Twist. And then I do have a bucket of Naughty Ball that I touched a little, but that's about all I've done. So I need to go through. My plan is to make a bunch of plants with these because I have different greens and browns, and then also test out my sloth pattern to see if I want to make a crochet kit with it. I also have 2 partial skeins of Naughty Ball Deluxe that I started to use, but I'm not a big fan of the yarn, but you know, I have these 2, I need to use them up. And then lastly, over here on this shelf is going to be my Parfait Chunky yarn, and I also went ahead and added in my Dollar Tree Just Chenille yarn to hopefully get that used up as well. So I went through quite a bit of Parfait Chunky in the month of March, so hoping we can go through some more as well. So now that you've seen the yarn collection, go ahead and pause the video and drop a comment down below on how much yarn you think we will use. Keeping in mind that in February we used 6,660 grams of yarn. Do you think we'll use more this month, less this month, about the same? Drop your guesses in the comments. And we will get to crocheting, and I will check in with you every time I finish up a skein. And I also do it a little different than other people, where I also calculate how many grams total I use. So I don't think it's fair to call this a finished skein as well as a full 300 gram. So I do count by how many I finished, but I also weigh out all of the yarn I use. So you can then calculate, if you divide that by the 300 grams of a skein, how many full skeins did we use technically. So I will check in with you once I have used some yarn. And we have the first skein down. So this strawberry dot skein, I made a bunch of pocket octos last night while I was editing. I also went through a lot of this mini succulent, so that one will probably be done soon. But we're currently at 1 skein done, so. And we now officially have skein number 2 finished. So I used it on 1 and almost 2 of the Tranquil Triceratops. So this is my last skein of this color. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I can find it again. I'll probably have to order this off of Yarn Inspirations. But I use this color for a lot of things now. Well, I guess all I can think about are pizza turtles and chicks with frog hats, but this is the perfect shade of green. So 2 skeins down. So I'm gonna call this another skein down, but hear me out. So this, I started as a brand new skein last night. I had a bunch of turtles that I had the shells made, but I lost yarn chicken and I also had more shells than I had yarn. And I finally found a new skein of it. This is the Misty Jungle Green, but I first finished up the green ones, so they needed heads and bodies added on. And then I made as many shells as I could for my beige turtles, and I only got 4 out of it, which I wish I got more, but this is 16 grams and it requires 22 for a shell. So I'm gonna call that another finished skein and move on with the day. And with that, 1 more skein down. This one is only 2 grams left. And this is birch, and I typically use almond, which they're very similar. So I might try to pair this with almond. They're just ever so slightly different. It almost looks like they are just different dye lots, but they have different names. Don't know why Brene needs 2 different of the same very light beige. So 1 more down and hopefully we can get a lot more. And now I finished one of my Parfait Chunky skeins. So I'm working on a bunch of Crochet Grove jellies because I brought 2 to my chocolate and cheese festival this past weekend and they sold very quickly. So I'm hoping to have some more for my Kite Festival market. You will already have seen both of those market vlogs, so you know before I do as to how the Kite Festival went. But 1 more skein down. I don't think I'm going to count this yet, but we are close to finishing a skein. So I went through and made 4 jellies and used the Dollar Tree chenille as the tentacles. And I have 8 grams left, but it takes 10 grams to make tentacles. So I'm thinking maybe I will make like a rainbow one later on. I have a whole bunch of Parfait Chunky and just chenille yarn over here that I'm hoping to work through. So hopefully we can get more scraps like this by the end of the month and we can make like a white based jelly and then all the tentacles are different colors. That's what I think I'm gonna do. So not counting this yet, but we're getting close. And we can call that 1 more skein down. I just finished this light pink skein and now I'll attach another. So I'm working on a pig now from Jenna's book. So I've been doing a lot of Parfait Chunky plushies lately, but the issue is because I don't have replacement skeins at the moment, I keep dwindling them down to where they can't really make anything, but they're also not done. So I'm on that fine line of does it count as a finished skein or not. So I guess we'll look at it at the end of the month if I don't end up getting more Parfait Chunky by then. So we'll see. And now I have 1 more skein done. So I'm currently working on some rainbow shells for the tofu turtle. And I have quite a bit of skeins that are running low. So hopefully within this next week or so, as I'm slowly working on these rainbow shells and also some rainbow bees to get prepared for my Pride Market in June, we shall get some more skeins done. It's about halfway through the month, but I do have a lot of pottery studio days scheduled here soon, so hopefully we can get some stuff done. The problem I'm having right now is I'm just making a bunch of stuff that doesn't use a skein. So I've been using yarn but not finishing skeins, which is the main goal of this challenge. while I am keeping track of all of the yarn I'm using in total, I need to pivot a little, and we'll see what all I get done. I'm hoping to, I think, every color except green and maybe yellow I should be able to finish with these shells. So hopefully we can get some more skeins done here in the near future. And after a day at the studio, I had a couple of hours to crochet a little bit, so now we have purple done, and still working on red, orange, and yellow, so hopefully we can get those here in a minute. And we can also add red to today's completion. So I don't think I'm going to finish out the orange today. There's a little bit left, but it's only a teeny tiny bit of the shell, so it's going to be a couple more before I get orange done. But we're going to call that for today. So 2 done for April 17th, I think it is today. And finally, after 17 shells, this is the 17th rainbow shell, the orange is done. So the yellow still has this much in it, and I think I'm going to make 20 shells and call that good. So I doubt the yellow will be done, but there's still some chicks with frog hats to work on, and a lot more to do still. I was thinking about, you know, the whole Joanne closure thing earlier, and I'm really wanting to do a day where I just drive around the Denver metro area and just go to every Joanne. And I was looking over at my yarn stash, and there's not much of a dent that's been made. So there's quite a bit of work I can still do, but unfortunately I have a lot of this month accounted for already. Or I guess not too much. Today was another studio day. Tomorrow I work a shift at my store, and then Friday I'm the treasurer at my pottery guild, or one of them, and I'm still learning, so I'm meeting with the other treasurer on Friday, so who knows how long that'll take. And then I have all of next week, so maybe we'll do a challenge, or I'll figure out what we're gonna do next week, because we have all 5 days dedicated to crochet. And then to end out the month, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But the 29th and 30th, the last 2 days of April, I have scheduled to go to the studio. So we'll see what we can do. We've essentially got 6 more days dedicated fully to crocheting, and not a lot of skeins completed. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, so I should keep going. It's currently 3:15, so I've still got a little bit of time to work today. I'm hoping I can for sure finish the 20 shells, and then I'll probably dip into making some heads. So this is a variant of the tofu turtle, and I'm going to make the bodies with white, and hopefully making the 20 heads and bodies will get rid of my partial white skein, which I believe we opened this month. Yes, that skein, it did get opened this month, so that would be a full skein from start to finish that I'd do this month. So I'm going to get back to working, and I'll see you another day. Happy Easter / 420, whichever one you celebrate, or none. But it is 6:55 a.m. and I got up before everyone, so I figured I'd crochet a little bit. And I finished one of my half skeins in fullness. So I made one bear. Let me grab it for you. I made one bear in its entirety, and then I have the forelegs and part of the head of the second bear. This is color taupe, and I've never seen it in person. I've seen vlog clips of other people finding it in person, but I ordered it on Amazon, so I always get half skeins, and I always double check that I'm paying half price if I'm getting a half skein. So another one down, and hopefully in these next 5 days we can wipe out a lot of yarn, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to go around the metro area to different Joann's, because I've heard a lot of stores are going to be closing at the end of April and they're putting up countdowns, and I just really want to do a metro drive of the Joann's and don't want to miss out. So I'll probably do it this week and then do it again in May, when hopefully the yarn discount is bigger and I hopefully have more budget to go spend on yarn. So last night I did also finish another skein. So I finished a white, and I did not get any footage because I was having sort of a relaxing night after we hosted for the first time and had some family over. So we ended the night by watching some Survivor. We're currently binging all of the old seasons and hoping to watch them all by season 50, which I think is in a year. But we just finished season 14, so we're going very slowly. But I like to have something to do with my hands while I'm working. So I finished off some more of the rainbow shells of the body part. So I didn't get any footage because I was watching Survivor. But I'm hoping, I don't know. This is an entirely new skein. It had some yarn barf in it. But I still have 9 turtle bodies to make. I have some white parts of the mushy boys to make. So I'm going to see how much of this white I can use. I don't think I'll finish it up by the end of the month because we only have about 9 more days. But you never know. And I finished an entire skein in one day. So another one off the list. I did get a little sidetracked. I said I was going to use white today and then didn't. So I managed to make a small squid and a big squid, and then I started on a whale. So definitely did not think 3 plushies would finish a skein, but it did today. So once I do the whale, I think I'm going to go back to the white, hopefully. But it's 4:15 already, so we'll see how much more I get done today. And I have been working on those rainbow turtles, and I've been doing some big whales, and I finished another white skein. I haven't yet touched the white of the mushy boys, but I think I messed up. So this is my last white skein in my collection. Well, the last non-sparkle white in my collection. And I just went yarn shopping yesterday. I hit up all of the Joann's in the Denver metro area, and I did not buy any white. I remember thinking at the first store I should grab some, but I'll get it at a later location, and I never did. So I guess it's a good thing. I think I'm gonna go back tomorrow because I was told the discounts were gonna go up. So I think I'll have to go in tomorrow and buy some white yarn. But one more down, and I'm almost done with this one as well, but there's 6 grams left. So that's, I think, half of an octo, so I might try to figure out something to pair that with, but that guy's almost done. And I need to hit the gas pedal. So I've been thinking about, on my shelves I have a bunch of smaller skeins that I don't plan on repurchasing, and rather than make a bunch of pocket octos, I think I might go through and make like a scrappy multicolor bear. We'll see if I get to that. Today is Wednesday and the workday is almost over, so. And I need to prep some stuff to bring to my store, so hopefully we can get around to the bear, but I'm going to get back to working. So I mentioned making a scrap yarn bear, so I don't think I'm going to make it right this second, probably tomorrow, but I wanted to go ahead and grab the yarns for it. So it is raining right now, so apologies if you can hear that. But I have quite a bit of yarns like this that I don't even know if they make it anymore. And what am I going to make with that? So into the bucket it goes, and hopefully all of these yarns will go decent together. Like, here's the tiniest of scraps. I think this is called fall leaves or something. Some of these yarns I do have plans for, some I don't. I think that one's good to go, so let me pull you a little closer. So this shelf I think is good now. These scraps up here are going to be for lesbian flat colors. I have more of this. This is the orange mystical that I use for cats. This scrap is more of that ombre. So I think that shelf is good. Let's move on to pink. We've got a peek behind the curtain here. So this color I do use, I pair it with this pink, so we're going to leave it. But this one is good to go. This hot pink sparkle, I did just buy a skein that I think matches it. Let me check. Yes, so I did just buy more of this, so I'll keep it. This I use for my turtle shells, and eventually I'll get another one, so we'll leave it. I have not used this dark like maroon color in a while, so let's throw it in. This one is the mystical berry, so I think what I'm going to do is store it like that so I can see it. So that shelf is good. This shelf up here is all of my Velvet and Michaels brands. So let's move down to green, where I'm sure there's a ton we can take. This is Misty Jungle Green. I plan to buy more. Again, this I use for turtle shells, so we'll keep it. I really like this. I think it's called Zing Dot, but it doesn't sell well, so let's throw the rest of that in our bucket. No idea what this yarn is, so let's throw it in. This one is almost camo-like, and I used it for like frogs and stuff, but let's use it. And this is a very old skein, so we'll definitely use it too. Looking better. And then I think we just have the purple and blue shelf. So this is probably the messiest one I have. I hate this yarn. Let's use it. This is called Posy Purple, I think, and I don't have plans on purchasing again, so that is Purple Mystical. I'm tossing everything, and then I think this is the only other color that I don't really have plans for. It's kind of big for the scrappy, but let me try to make this look a little neater in here. And then if we wanted to go even further, we do have this brown. I think it's called Baby Sandcastles. And this is what we've come up with. So it's a lot of very teeny tiny scraps, but hopefully it looks cool. I feel like the only colors that feel out of place right now are the pinks and the just yellow, orange, I don't know. But hopefully it looks cool. And that brown makes one more down. And I only have one more brown left. But I've just been trying to crank out some mallard ducks. And I think I should be good here in a minute. I'm trying to get ahead of myself to prep for the summer at the store I sell in. The ducks are a really good seller, and I'm going to have less time than I'm used to market prep, so might as well try to get them fully stocked while I can. So I think this will be my last update for today. It's 4:30, but I'm going to keep making some more ducks, and I don't think it'll be enough to finish this green off, but we can probably finish it another day this month. And finally, the green is done. I have been making mallard ducks, as I mentioned, and I was starting to think I would run out of brown before I finished this dang green. So I should have counted, but I probably made 10 ducks already, which is more than I was wanting to make, but I really wanted to finish this green. So one more down, and this yellow should be done today as well. After I finish this duck, this won't use all of this. I think I'm going to finish off. I have some chick with frog hats. I have some hats made that need the chick portion. So I think I'll make that so I can finish off this yellow. And we'll keep going. And there's the yellow skein. So 2 skeins for being only 9 a.m. Not bad. But unfortunately, it's time for the wing, and you know, the wing might make from the rest of that, but I just hate when the color change happens. Or not color change. You know, when you have to add in a new skein that it does it on the wing. So hopefully the wing will do it in that little scrap. But I'm going to keep working. And just like that, it's not even 10, and we've got a 3rd skein of the day. So this one has been sitting on my ottoman in front of me, and I was like, you know what, just finish it up. So now we can grab our next skein and keep going. So this is going to be a jelly. I've made a couple of them in the past, and I have quite a lot of pink, but I just wanted to finish it out. So I think the next make today is going to be the giraffe in Crochet by Jenna's book, but I'm starting new skeins for that, so that's not going to finish anything. So we'll see if I can finish any more skeins today. And I'm going to get a huge yarn bar, of course. Alright, and I actually ended up making 2 scrap bears, and I have an entire video dedicated to these. If you want to check it out, I will link it above. But excitingly, I finished 14 scrap yarns. So this was the only one I didn't finish. I did use a little bit of it, but it's not done. So we can add 14 to our finished amount. I have not yet finished any skeins, unfortunately, but today is the 29th. Tomorrow is the last day of the month, but unfortunately I won't be able to do any crochet tomorrow. I have a Pottery Guild board meeting that night, so I'll be spending the day in the studio, and then normally after a studio day I can come home and crochet a little, but I have a meeting at 6, so I probably won't get home till like 8. So today's the last day to crochet for April, so I need to finish up some whips to help myself out mathematically when figuring out how many plushies I finished. So I started this guy yesterday, finished her up, and then this whale was partially done. Again, started it yesterday. So I finished that up. I still need to go through my bucket, but I believe, hopefully it's just those 2 frog hats for the chicken frog hats, and I can crank those out really quickly. It is only 10 a.m. so I do have time today, but I have a market, not this coming Friday, but next Friday. And most of my days leading up to it are either pottery studio days or working a shift at my store. So not a lot of crochet time left before the market comes. And at my last market, I sold out of calico cats. I sold out of my beige tofu turtles. I do have the other colors of cats and turtles, but axolotls are running really low. I know I'm out of pink, which is my best seller, and then all the other colors are really low. So I think the priority is just going to be restocking market plushies, and I also need to sit down to look at the plushies that I set aside to restock my store, because we are entering the summer, which is the busier time at the store. I think June is my third best month. Obviously December is the best month, and then March does really well due to spring break, and then June and July are really busy because tourists and everybody out and enjoying. So I need to make sure that they have extra stuff than I normally have been stocking them. So I need to sit down and look at those numbers as well. So, yeah. Sometimes I have too much fun getting to kind of play around and do whatever I feel like, and then I realize I screwed myself when it comes to my actual obligations. So, no more fun stuff today, unfortunately. It's going to be finishing up whips, which I think is just those two, and then doing stuff that I need for my market and my store. So I'm not sure if I'll finish any more yarn. Yeah, I'm not sure if anything is doing low on. And I have what I believe is going to be my last skein of the month. It's currently 5:20, so I don't think I'll get much more done, but hopefully I can finish this giraffe today. And it is now time for the results of what all I managed to finish for the month of April. And spoiler alert, it's not as great as I did in February, surprisingly. But I'll go over the numbers and then kind of say why I think that is. So starting out the month, I did have some tofu turtle shells made from a prior time, and I went through and made the bodies. So I did kind of calculate about how much of the plushie is the body. So that's why there's going to be a decimal here. But I managed to make 122.3 items this month, which came out to a total of $2,463.18 of plushie inventory. Now that was not my goal of making $3,000 for the month, but that's okay. I mean, I still got a lot done and I felt very productive, but that didn't quite translate to plushie sales. Now I did make some pottery this month, but unfortunately I have not finished anything yet. So this is approximate sales numbers. So my herb strippers are generally $15, except if sometimes the glaze runs and fills the small hole, and then I discount them to 10. And then my mugs, the pricing is dependent on like how complex the design was and also the ounceage it holds. So I have a whole spreadsheet to figure out the prices for that. But for this I just calculated about $30 a mug. Some are cheaper, some are more expensive. So that's going to be about $900 of pottery inventory I made this month, without counting what I made yesterday. Today's May 1st, and pottery is normally a 2-day step for me. So the first day I throw everything, and then the second day I have to go in and trim and add handles or holes or whatever needs done. It just needs to dry between the throwing and the finishing part. So I did a lot yesterday at the studio, but I didn't count it towards this number. So 900 of pottery inventory. I think I made 29 herb strippers, 1 mug, and then 3 lidded vessels. I'm making a urn for my friend's cat who recently passed away, and she wanted it bigger than I'd made it, and it took me 3 tries to get it to be the size that she wanted, but I can just sell them as lidded vessels, so it wasn't a waste of time. I can still utilize those. So if you count the pottery inventory, then I did make my $3,000 goal, but I usually make my goal of inventory to be for crochet only. If you follow along on my weekly makes videos, normally I try to make $750 of plushie inventory every week, and there was one week where I did not make that, or even when you counted the pottery inventory, but regardless, you know, I made what I made, and I'm not mad. So now for how much yarn I used. I kept track of every single gram of every yarn brand I used. It starts to get a little complicated, but not too much. I just have to remember every time I pull a skein out to weigh it beforehand and then weigh it after. So usually I end up with a pile that I need to weigh and put away, but that's how I've been doing it, and it helps me kind of calculate how much of each yarn I used. Like if you saw, I made a scrap bear, and it's not fair for me to call this 6-gram ball a skein finished when another skein is 300 grams. So if you counted number of actual finished, I had 33 skeins used between all of the brands, most of which was Bernay Blanket. And unfortunately, even though I made this nice shelf up here of my velvet yarns and my Michaels brands, I never touched them. So I do believe I'm going to do this challenge again for May. So hopefully I can actually touch those. I did do a good job though of somewhat dwindling my Parfait Chunky and just chenille yarn. However, I am planning to repurchase once I have some money back in the bank account. I found out yesterday that Joann is now at 50% off, and I just want to go spend money, but there's other things for the business that I need to purchase. So I'm gonna wait. I have a market May 9th, and then when that money hits the bank account, I'll probably go buy some yarn. Hopefully I do good at that market, otherwise I won't have much money to spend on yarn. So again, I got sidetracked, but I will go over how much of each brand I used. Again, it's mostly going to be Bernay Blanket. That is what's behind me and what I have the most of. So I'll scoot over a little. I'll put over here the spreadsheet I'm looking at so that you can kind of follow along with me. So like I said, Bernay Blanket was the most yarn I used, and I used 5,157 grams of Bernay Blanket, which comes out to about 17.19 skeins. I also calculated how much money I then spent on that yarn. So for the 17.19 skeins at $11.99 a skein, that comes out to $206.11. Now I do believe Yarn Inspirations upped their price to $13.49, but Joann is still selling them at $11.99, and that's where I'm still buying my yarn. So I always calculate based on full price. I always try to buy on sale, but I always calculate pricing at full price, because one day you might have to. You might be rushed to finish a project that somebody needs, and you have to go buy a full priced skein. It also just leaves me some wiggle room in there for whenever I'm buying yarn. But that's just how I like to do it. I know some people base their prices off of sale price, but you're not guaranteed to always find sale price. The next category I have is cover story. I found this really cool, I shoved it in here, this really cool rainbow yarn that I absolutely adore, and I'm really hoping my local Joann still has come mid-May when I have money to go buy more yarn. But I used it to make a whale, and I used 149 grams of that, which is just under half a skein, which then came out, that math doesn't, oh, okay, yes, that math was wrong. So it came out to $5.96. And then for Parfait Chunky, I feel like I need to switch the unit that I'm calculating and instead do it by yardage, because Parfait Chunky is smaller and therefore it's going to weigh less. So it seems like I didn't use a lot, but I did use quite a bit of Parfait Chunky. So I used 412 grams. I finished 2 cakes, and based on weight I used 4.12 skeins of yarn, which came out to $20.56 that I spent on Parfait Chunky this month that I used. I did try to use some of my Just Chenille yarn that I got from the Dollar Tree. I used 76 grams, which came out to about 0.628 skeins and was 79 cents. I do not like this yarn, but I bought it and I'm trying to use it, and I've been pairing it with Parfait Chunky just to try to use it. I do think I'm going to do another scrap project here soon, kind of like my scrap bear, but give me ideas of what I should make with it. I have most of the rainbow. I just want that yarn gone. And then the last category I have is Big Twist Plush. I don't typically use this yarn, but I do have, again, a rainbow yarn. It is the Crayon Box Variegated that I'm starting to prepping for my Pride Market in June. So that's why I'm doing some rainbowy things. Also just because I wanted to use that yarn. But I also had to then go out and get a white that I also paired with Cover Story. So between those two whales, I ended up using 226 grams and using about 0.75 skeins, which came out to $903 spent on yarn, for a grand total of using up $233.41 of yarn this month, which I then turned into $2,463.18 of inventory to then sell. I did also calculate from grams to pounds. Those 5,794 grams is 12.77 pounds of yarn that I used. That is quite a bit of yarn that I went through, and I'm very happy that I kept track of it. I feel like I used a lot of yarn in March and I didn't keep track of that. So I'm going to do it for May as well. It's kind of fun to do it. I might start to do an every month thing, every other month. I don't know. Let me know how you feel. Do you like this video? Is this video boring? So for why I think I might have used less yarn this month compared to February, especially in February I was dealing with a lot of burnout and struggling to make. It's partly due to schedule. So I did have 2 markets this month, which were on the weekends, and I don't typically work on the weekend. So I think I did like a slower Monday, just kind of, letting myself relax. I also did inventory one day, which took up some time. I spent, looks like 6 days in the studio in April, whereas in February I only spent 3 days in the studio. I also in February was filming a lot of challenges, so I was motivated to try to get a bunch of stuff done so that I have a bigger number for the end of the challenge. So that might have helped. I'm not exactly sure, but those are just a couple of theories I have. And not every day is going to be the same amount of work that you get done. I'm hoping for May that I can actually dip into the velvet yarn and the Michaels brands. And I've had some Naughty Ball yarn that I've used once. I really liked using it, and I just haven't picked it up again. So hopefully I can step away from the Bernay blanket next month and use my other yarns. That should be my goal. But I will show you the finished amount of yarn I have left. And this is how we are ending the month off. Just a quick overview. So down here is all the posh that I did not touch once. I did use quite a bit of browns. I did slowly start to get this shelf moved, but then I shoved some more yarn in there. I did use up a bunch of my scrap yarns from the green. I never touched this shelf with the velvet and the Michaels brands. Up here is now I have 2 of the sparkle white yarn, and that giant Stormy Ocean skein that was there is now down here, so I did not use that. But we went through quite a bit of yarn, even though it doesn't look that different. I swear this yarn is purple. It looks kind of gray or brown on camera, but that's the one that didn't fit on this shelf at the beginning of the month. And then over here we have our Naughty Ball, which I, again, did not touch. And then over here we have a kind of messy area, but the Naughty Ball Deluxe yarns I did not touch. This is kind of like my bigger skeins of the Parfait Chunky. And then I have a bunch of scraps up here and the Just Chenille yarn over here. So hopefully I can use more of that up in May. But that's what I ended the month of April with. And thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you like the how much yarn can I use in a month videos, or if you hate them. I won't be offended either way. But I'll see you in the next one. Bye!